I mean, the zones, like, actually, I didn't even break it down fully to you guys, but so ChatGPT was saying how institutional buyers buy up in sections, so that's why they leave behind those like little 4 hour zone, those 45-minute zones, or like a 15-minute zone right next to the 2 hour zone. They leave these like little imprints on their way up to whatever their target is, and guess I should just start sharing my chart now. Hold up. It makes more sense if you could see it. I feel like it's morning again. That shit's weird.
Right now.
Yeah, because my room doesn't have windows and I'm drinking a coffee and I'm talking to you guys. It just gives me a morning vibe.
It's weird. How many more Saturdays do you work?
Actually, probably next month again,
Damn.
to be
2
honest.
months in a row?
Yeah, because last 2 months I was not working weekends.
Damn.
What was that show? Oh yeah, oh, you guys can't even see. Where the fuck is the Discord? Do you still work weekends next month? I mean, not work week. Do you have the same schedule next month?
I have Fridays and Saturdays off.
Again?
Yeah. They changed my schedule.
That's your schedule forever?
Yeah.
Wild. Like, so, can you guys read
Yeah, it's loading.
now?
Yeah.
Update 3. So right here, if you go to the 2 hour, is where the it doesn't even show the gap. 45. So right here is where the gap was to start the or end the week off, or I guess start the week because this is Sunday. So already going into Monday, we were seeing this as a gap, which initially I wasn't validating as a strong like demand zone or anything like that. But then I asked ChatGPT about it, and it said the reason it is a strong zone is because of how aggressive the market sold off here. And this, it didn't say it was, but it could be like when the market gets to a certain level, institutional algos are set to buy. So when it got here overnight, it got bought up, and you can see the large gap from down here all the way up here. And because of how aggressive it got, it like stood above price. And then on Monday, it never tested back down. So, but when it did come test back down to the gap or gap fill, you could then view this as an area where institutions are buying because you can tell like it spent a whole day above it. It had a large push above it. Like this is institutional participants, so you could almost consider it like a 4 hour zone. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's some
And
new
then
knowledge.
what?
That's some new knowledge.
And then after that, the next formation was this 4 hour demand zone right here. Let me make
I like
this
those two
white.
candles in the way.
What candles? What the
These
fuck?
two big engulfing candles
I think
going through the zone.
I think he's talking about the first one, not the like. This is before those two came out. Like he's explaining how the gap and this abasing candle are support.
So right here is the gap fill. This is the gap. I didn't even fucking label that. Gap. And then here is a 4-hour demand, a base. Right here. A 4-hour base within the, like, with where the gap, it's in that same range of where the gap is. So this is another day confirming that institutional buyers are buying here. So this is 2 days we got institutions participating, and obviously we could have capitalized off of this test of the gap fill to go long, but then this 4-hour demand zone forms, and now this is another area of interest. And until this gap fill gets tapped, this 4-hour demand is still a zone you want to pay attention to. Like, just because you have the gap fill over here doesn't mean that early participants are going to push off of this 4-hour demand zone. So these two areas going into Wednesday are now key zones, but it never hit the 4-hour demand zone, which I did have marked, and I never was able to capitalize on that. Although we did have resistance up here, so that could have been a move, but I didn't have no supply zone, just the resistance level here. So going into this day on, what is that now? Thursday? Now that's after, because I read that about the demand zones. I then was now looking at this 4-hour to test initially, but then it went inside and it consolidated inside, and then when it tested this gap, I was like, okay, now I need really want to see if buyers test it. So my whole thing right now is institutions could load up in sections. So here they loaded up once for the gap fill, then price came back down, and they found it an opportunity to buy up again. So now that's two areas you could pay attention to when price comes back down. And the same thing happened with this 2-hour demand zone that we had marked, and I believe it was this one. Because this one happened in pre-market, it's not as powerful, but it still worked. So we have this 2-hour demand zone that forms, and then I believe a 15-minute forms right above it. Right here, this 15-minute. And it is, I think, like within 3 points of each other. 67.13 and 67.17. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 points within each other. So now when the market came down to test it here on this test, the 15-minute is a valid area to pay attention to because it's so close to that strong 2-hour demand zone. Same concept as here. We have the gap fill and then that 4-hour formed. And then when it came down, the 4-hour was an area you could pay attention to. Obviously, here it didn't work because it ended up coming down to test the gap. But here it did work. So when institutions load up, they're going to leave like traces on their way up as well. That's what I was gonna say. Why y'all just quiet?
I'm trying to process everything.
I guess I never like it's like this is different because we're just developing like market context other than like practicing the setup like we've been doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I did realize that. I honestly feel like because I was gonna talk to Gabriel initially, this is what I had in mind of speaking of. I didn't plan on telling you in depth because I know I want you to figure out the absorption setup more than anything.
No, but this context matters because even though I still got to learn the absorption, like it's still hard to like trust my zones. Not trust them, but like see how the action works when it gets to them. Like how do I know if this zone is gonna work or is it gonna break through it? And that type
It
of
is
context.
important because you're gonna. I mean, we could go back to this day and we could look at this 15-minute demand zone and see how the absorption happened, and it's gonna be very similar to the setup that we're looking for. So if you see it coming down and you have a 2-hour demand zone, but then 3 points above there's a 15-minute zone. Like once it comes down to that 15-minute zone, kind of like pay attention, see is that exact setup that we talk about occurring? And if it is, then it could be an opportunity to put risk on.
Mhm.
That's just where I'm at with it because I feel like I've seen this happen a lot of times where I'll have a zone and then like it slightly does the move like just points away and I was like, why do I keep missing those? And then that's what I asked ChatGPT. And I think another important thing that made this level valid was this was pre-market low as well. Because look, this is 0.30, so right before pre-market started. So this is where I would label pre-market low.
Mhm. Are you gonna go back to the other time frames or just every once in a while that 15 or what?
Honestly, it's just the 40. Like I'm gonna look at the 30 and the 15. I already do. Like it's something I do. I just don't mark them because I'm like I don't want to confuse myself, which if you feel like it is going to confuse you, don't do it. But just keep in mind that if it is 3 points away, that's what I'm keeping in my head. If it's 4 points away, then I may consider it. If it's 5, 6, 7, anything higher than that, I'm not gonna mark it.
So not
I
a
need it to
random one.
be relevant to where my heavy zone, my key zone is.
Right.
That is it. But I mean, we already know Monday was pretty shitty, so we don't really have to go over that one. But I mean, we could review the pullback into the gap fill down here. You guys
Yeah.
want to do that?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
14. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Gabriel? You're pretty quiet about it.
Well, I'm trying to process everything right now. 'Cause I
I
forget
did
how I
make.
do. You did make what?
Did I make sense?
Yeah. I was gonna ask a question, but I forgot. Damn, what was I gonna ask? How many
Oh,
trades did you guys take this week?
I didn't
3.
open up about today, but today I took one, so 2 in total this week. But I was so annoyed with myself.
Yeah, not being transparent,
It was just
man.
this one. But honestly, I wrote this down because I was mad at myself. Like in a
You've had one for the past 3 weeks, to be honest.
huh?
You've had one like the past 3 weeks that you don't tell us until later. I respect for you for telling us though, because it is tough.
What do you mean? I've had one for the last 3 weeks.
This week when I went to your house, you had one that you go up in the Discord either.
I ain't gonna be supplying you, Eric. You're gonna be talking about my shit. Nah,
I
but
just called you Yeah.
No, I'll be honest with y'all. There's just times where it's the ones where I'm mad at myself for how I took the trade. Where I'm like, these fools are just gonna like immediately point out everything I knew I shouldn't have took this trade for. They're like, why'd you even enter this shit?
Oh man, you're right though.
But those would be for sure. Those are for sure on my paper trades, like how I would be, because I knew I was trying random shit. But now I sent you guys the first live trade I took this since I've started live this week, and then today I just didn't send. But I'm like writing on my paper like, get over this shit. Like I just wanted to trade so bad. Like the Monday through Wednesday came by, and I'm like, I didn't take one trade. Like that was like unfulfilling. I was like bored. Like I went live, and then for 3 straight days, no trades. And I think I just forced the last 2.
Yeah, dude, I was feeling it today too with the FOMO. I had to take off my Ninja Trader because I knew it wasn't at my key level, but
I did the
I was
same
still
shit.
It's crazy, man.
I was like, let me just be safe and not even have the temptation there.
Yeah.
I did have it open though because I did want to I want to make myself be okay with just sitting there.
Yeah.
But
it's hard, man. Yeah.
I know, because after I was done, I'm like, I should have been stepped away from my desk, but I just stayed at it. I was like, and I saw how many times I was, because now what I'll do on my journal is I'll write like the entry, the stop, and the target, but right next to where I write short or long, I write hypothetical trade. Like this is not something I plan on taking. And then if it happens, I'll just write down everything that went down with that, like with that possible trade. But I'm trying to get myself to just, I don't know if that'll, it's like be motivation or like negative motivation of like, oh, maybe I should try it. You know, if I was like calling it hypothetical.
I feel that. That's what I battle with still with like yesterday's low and pre-market low, the pre-market highs, because internally I know I'm not supposed to be taking it due to my current system, but damn, it looks so good and I want to take it.
Dude, I think 2 setups this week from like yesterday's low or pre-market is that I've missed because they weren't my key levels.
I feel that.
Sucks.
I feel that. One thing I was gonna say right now that I remember Carmine mentioned, because of how aggressive the market had sold off that was it Friday, that sell-off day, he ended up oh, it was Friday. He ended up marking it as a level to watch for if price were to come back down, and that's exactly where we did this bounce here at Friday's close. We just aggressively got bought right when it tapped there. So that's something to note also. Just that it could be like some kind of support. And the reason it's significant is because of how aggressive the sell-off was. But now that I'm at the chart, I'm not sure if absorption happened there. At what time is that? 6. Can you guys see my book map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-market low was 66. 05. So here at the bottom of the gap fill, you can see all these heavy orders. 6607.
Do you guys just look for 0 prints on CVP now, not SVP?
Honestly, this week I didn't even I tried to not even pay attention to them. They were stressing me out because I took a loss trying to get. I didn't even. When I tried to make it to that 0 print and I ended up being too greedy, that shit pissed me off, and I was like, "Fuck 0 prints."
It's the one me and you were in.
Yeah, that shit posted. So this whole week, I seen Zero Prints, but I didn't even note them or even mention them to you guys. So I was just like, fuck Zero Prints. So right here, but I do look at CVP. Um, but right here we have, I marked it as a green, but this is the gap fill area, and then slightly below we had pre-market low, and then down here was Friday's close. So we can already label this range here, 6607 to say 6595 as a range to pay attention to. And then you see the action that you want to see. You get that aggressive selling into right at the gap fill. Market pops. You want to wait for that retest back down to make sure buyers are really supporting this move. Um, you don't really get anything clean here. So then it pulls back with aggression back down into these limit orders. If you if you stretch your time closer, you could see these limit orders were sitting here. And then it pulls back right into that Friday close and aggressively gets bought up. Similar to what I did at the end of the day, actually, on when I took my winning trade this week. Fuck these.
You didn't record that trade?
Nah, I didn't. Wish I did. So this is very similar to what happened. It was aggressive selling into my limit orders, and then it aggressively got bought up with CVD curling aggressively. But I didn't want to be this first buyer, nor would I want to be this first buyer down here. Although it could be a good entry, but the risk is kind of a little higher because it's possible of pulling back. So in my case I waited, but this seller was a lot larger when I seen my actually you can even see it here. There's a heavy sell pressure without the market falling. Comparison to the volume that's around it, that's super. Even if you zoom out to the 1 minute, it's heavier than the buying that occurred there. I want to see it on the two.
And that's kind of just viewed as like some random heavy seller who tried to do something.
Well, here it doesn't look as strong, but yeah. So it's like sellers want to keep pushing the market down, and they're trying, but obviously buyers are not letting it happen. So then it consolidates for a bit here, which is a good sign. And then on the next pullback, you would want to see the limit orders hold, which I don't see occur here. So it would make me hesitant about, and like I mean, you kind of get these right here. Uh, it is an aggressive push though. So that's kind of like to your judgment if you would want to take that or not. Because these would also, I would, in my mind, I'd be like, oh, I want to see a pullback into 6,600. One, it's a psych level. There's limit orders sitting there. It was previous resistance. So if I see this happening in my head, I'm like, oh, I want to see a deeper pullback. But then sometimes you're not going to get that deeper pullback, and it's going to hold at the bottom of the consolidation, which it did here, and it has a massive ash rally.
Can you zoom into that price wise?
Um,
Oh,
the consolidation.
yeah, right there. I was just wondering if, oh yeah, like the orders. I'm telling you, like the other day when you came over and you were explaining.
I didn't even realize this, but I'm not sure if this is happening like to the upside. I mean, we could rewatch it. Let's not miss that 647. So it's coming down into that Friday close here. This is that Friday close. The limit order is holding. I'm not on the 2. Of course, it's freezing. Damn, this shit's freezing like we're live.
Yeah.
So I'm on the 2-minute right now. One thing I don't like is like when you try to widen it,
It goes towards the
it
bottom.
kind of like it like fucks with it. But these limit orders are there. Some buying is occurring here.
You wouldn't grab the screen and just scroll it up or drag it up?
I never do that actually. I'm dumb.
But it does weird because you have to, like, when you press play, then it does it. It takes it back, which is like, are we not supposed to watch it this way?
I mean, to me, I just want to see that how it's reacting to orders. But damn, this is aggressive. Is this already the move starting? I think it was. So see,
Yeah.
that's why I wouldn't be able to take this because it's like just taking off without me. So now here is where those sellers try to push the market down. I'm still on the 2-minute here, so you can see like sellers are trying right here. I go back to.
Would you even consider the volume right there where your mouse is at, like as support if it gets back down there as an entry price?
What value? This?
No, the CVP volume, like right where the mouse is
CVP.
at, right there.
Oh yeah, well this is already, I mean not right now. I would was there yeah, that would be the level I'm looking at because it's the only place that contextually would make sense to me, but I would want to see heavy limit orders holding there when it comes down to test. So that is what my thought process would be like, oh, I need to see a pullback to get support these buyers. But if buyers are too strong, it may not come down to 6,600. Like I have that in the back of my mind also. So then this level, I would prefer these sellers to be stronger, honestly. But you can see here, buyers are trying to push this higher. So like right here, 6603.50 maybe, and 6600 are levels to pay attention to. Especially just because we're in demand. So I want to see we're at my key level. Say it's not demand necessarily, it's the gap fill. But we already see buyers were aggressive by how fast they like it is thin, but the quickness and how it got bought up is key there. Damn, was that the pullback? I think it was.
That's where you've gotten in.
I mean, right now that I'm looking at it, no, because it seems hard to really classify this level, but this is the move. This one would be a tougher one to do, but also keep in mind how volatile the market has been. So that's why we're seeing price like aggressively get bought up like this.
Has it been volatile because of the China thing?
Yeah. Also think about where VX is. Remember when VX is over 20, that's when the market can get volatile.
Oh yeah.
Is this a
So-
whole different strategy? How do you figure out when you're gonna use your like key support zone as a and then choose a target that's beyond 10 points? Like when do those happen? Or that's not seeable yet?
I mean, today Carmine said he took the largest point winner that he's had because of the volatility. He took like a 26 point winner, I think it was. So it all depends on the volatility of the market. If we're in like choppy conditions where the market's not really moving 100 points in a day, then you shouldn't be trying to get 26 points.
I gotta figure out that part more, a little more. Because sometimes I'm like, fuck it, it's going. And I'm like, why would it go there? Like nothing else is telling me that other than me. I'm like, well, what's stopping it?
Yeah, I feel that. Um, yeah, it's just getting the feel for the momentum for that day, or even the week. Like the week, this whole week, moves have been pretty crazy because of the volatility. So it just depends on that. But I mean, I would say this was pretty hard. The only key thing here was that the aggressive selling, how aggressive this selling was, and then this quick buy up, and how quick. The key thing was how quick it got bought up, and then it tries to sell off here. I mean, you're if you can be aware of the volatility and take advantage of this, this is a good opportunity. But personally, I would prefer a deeper pullback.
Because there's no limit orders for your strategy, right?
Yeah, that's what's key to me. I would prefer limit orders to be right where orders start to buy up.
This sounds like more of an Eloy setup.
But this is, yeah, this is what you kind of have mentioned to me.
To me,
So
it is kind of my setup because, like you're saying, you're confused by the super big buy up. You're like, damn, was that the move, right? Like that's kind of where your mind goes.
yeah.
And for me, I'm like, no, I'm convinced that's the direction, and therefore I would look for entries like that.
Well, no, this isn't the move to me. This is just buyers showing their presence. I always, even if the volatility isn't this strong, I always tell myself, let buyers show their presence first and then pull back. But that pullback to me has to be into limit orders.
Yeah,
And then that volume shift occurring with CVD curling up. So see, if I were to journal this, it would be like, okay, boom, it pulls back. I didn't get clear limit orders being tested. I did see these limit orders here holding price. The key thing was how the volume shift occurs with the CVD curling up. So I'd have three checks to my setup, just missing that limit order check that I always have. This can be in my personal playbook would be like a B plus setup because it wasn't fully there with all confirmation,
yeah,
if that
true.
makes sense.
Like, yeah, like in regards to your setup, yeah, like right where the last pullback happens, it's like CVD's curling down, and so that'd be confusing. Like, because today I am confused. I was confused with like what you were showing me, and I'm like, fuck, like I gotta learn how to pick one and stick to it because I'm looking for your curl up and volume shift, and I'm not good at seeing that yet. And I think I was focused on that,
That's gonna come from
and I'm like,
you
I'm gonna
got
have
to
to go.
replay the tape and watch it happen as it's like we could even replay this now, but you have to do this like on your own time. We're like, fuck, did I go too far?
14 minutes in.
Right here. You have to do this on your own time where like you put your mind to focus on these things on setups that you've seen already happen like the setup is there, you just want to repeat the how it looks to yourself. Oh my gosh, man. Okay, here's the pullback. Look at CVD and look at volume at the same time. We're on the 1 minute though. Damn, my bad. Okay. Just remember, here's limit orders aren't appearing, so that's one missing element to the setup. So right here, I'm looking at CVD and I'm looking at volume. Say limit orders were there, my eyes are definitely locked in on how this buying comes in. 300 limit orders did appear though to the top. But look at volume now already pushing up. I'm watching CVD. I want to see a strong push and curl
Right
right
there.
here.
Wow. That's on 2 minute.
Like what's so key to me here is how this curl is looking. I like how aggressively it seems like it's curling up, and the bi-volume that's coming in.
And then it didn't make that lower low.
But like I said, I would prefer a limit order sitting here. But I feel like we've been on this day for some time. We move on.
Yep. I'm gonna end this video.
You see that though, Eloy? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And it happened in that my type of setup, but I will say when I've been entering on my setups, I don't see the curl and volume shift, which is like, damn, it did appear on something I would have taken. So I gotta still pay attention to that. Not necessarily, just pay attention to it.